Are you ready for a little bit of a nuanced take that's going to upset a few people? Medical examiner deems the Jordan Neely subway death a homicide. And for those of you that don't know, Jordan Neely was a person who was like a homeless guy or something like that. He dressed up as a Michael Jackson impersonator and done the dance on the subway and all manner of other things so that he could earn a little bit of extra money. And what ended up happening is, like most homeless people in America, they basically they harass people, they take drugs and go off their heads, they're crazy, they shove people in front of traffic, they chase people with knives and leave needles lying all over the place, and hey ho, welcome to American cities. But what happened was he fucked around and found out a little bit too much, if I'm being honest, because he ended up getting choked out to the point where he died. And a medical examiner deems Jordan Neely's subway death a homicide as a result. A medical examiner in New York deemed the death of Jordan Neely on a subway train at the hands of another passenger a homicide. The incident occurred on Monday this week on the F train at the East Houston and Lafayette Street station after Neely had allegedly been throwing trash and yelling at passengers about his economic misfortunes. Neely had a history of mental issues and often frequented the station as a Michael Jackson impersonator. He also had an active warrant for his arrest for a felony assault. And this is the problem that they have in America. You see them online all the time. Everybody just on the train, just trying to go to their 9 to 5, just trying to mind their own business and stuff like that. And there's just some absolute cretin walking up and down the carriageway with their shirt off, their pants around their ankles, they've shit and pissed themselves, screaming and communicating with the devil and everything, just like, and harassing everyone and screaming in their face. And sometimes they pull a knife out and stuff like that because it's just the revolving door bail system now. It's like cashless bail. People get arrested for serious offences. They don't even go to jail. They're back out in the street a couple of hours later and everything. And there's also, ever since they done away with asylums, you're not allowed to call them that anymore. They're mental hospitals, call them what they are, asylums. It's to keep them in there so that they're not out in the street shoving pregnant mothers out into traffic, which is something that happened. Crazy guy just shoved a pregnant woman out into traffic. She survived and the baby was fine, luckily. But yeah. Police sources say around 2:30 Tuesday afternoon, Neely was allegedly throwing trash, yelling at passengers and acting erratically on the F train at the East Houston and Lafayette Street station. Things quickly escalated when the 24-year-old tried to subdue him by what appears to be a chokehold. CBS2 has learned Neely was homeless, had a history of mental illness, and had an active warrant out for his arrest for a felony assault. Pardon, I'll save it for the end anyway, the bit that I want to go through. Sorry. It's because, remember, like I said before, I drink a lot of fizzy juice when I'm doing the second channel videos. The alleged former Marine held Neely in the chokehold for several minutes. We'll get on to that. He remains unidentified. Neely lost consciousness and eventually died, according to the police. NYPD busted Neely 42 times across the last decade, and he had a documented mental health history with police, with his most recent arrest in November 2021 for slugging a 67-year-old female stranger in the face. So punched her old woman in the face. A warrant for his arrest on felony assault charges was issued on February the 23rd. And that's just basically, that's the way it is in America. Like, a lot of people in cities are too scared to actually go out now because, and I witnessed it myself, especially when I was in LA. Like, Scotland, we have homeless people, we have junkies in the street, but they'll usually come up to you and go, a wee pound for a wee cup of tea, pal, and like that. Like, they don't really do much. Sometimes they'll try and have a go at you if you don't give them anything. Like me, I literally nearly got into a fight in Greg's with a junkie who a lot of people on the internet actually know because there's a video of him online trying to fight with people outside the McDonald's. I've seen him getting slapped about a few times by people because he doesn't know when to shut his mouth, but it's nowhere near as bad as it is in America. I mean, your homeless people they're on another fucking level, man. They are on another level. Like, fucking just out in the street, running around in traffic naked and screaming. Like, I've seen shit like that. In fact, if you actually watch my Scotsman Goes to America video, I've got some clips of, like, crazy guys. Like, one guy's got his shirt off and he's jumping through traffic like that. Like, yeah, your homeless people are on a completely different level, man. We're just outraged as a community that there has been not arrest or formal charges against the man who is yet to be identified who killed Jordan Neely, a community member told CBS News. This is absolutely devastating. It should have never happened. We have been pleading with MTA and state to put in social workers, deploy them into the subway system. Something about the subway system, crazy people on the trains and the subway. Jack Nierenberg of Passengers United told CBS News. Other passengers believe that they were in danger and blamed the New York Police Department for not showing up in an adequate time. Yes, because see, when it comes to some crazy guy with his shirt off screaming and that, you've no idea what he's going to do. You have no idea what that man is going to do, especially when you hear all the horror stories about homeless people just pulling out knives and stabbing people for no reason. Oh, because a pigeon landed on my shoulder and they told me to do it because that man's Satan. Like, fucking dumb shit like that. That's the type of shit that goes on in their head. So see, when you're in a situation like that, you can feel like you might have to defend yourself at any moment. Your life could possibly be at risk. Of course, you would feel that way, even more so when the police aren't fucking doing anything about it. It's unfortunate that he died, don't get me wrong. Washington Heights resident Camille Garud said, the NYPD doesn't have that many officers, at least to my knowledge. You can't have an officer on each train car all the time. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, Democrat, and NYC Mayor Eric Adams both released statements and highlighted the importance of dealing with mental health issues. I mean, like, American politicians say that all the time and yet do absolutely nothing, right? I mean, especially when it comes to fucking veterans, right? If there's anybody who, like, deserves the top seat at that table, it should be like American veterans and all that. And even they get pretty much told to fuck off, like, all the fucking time. All the time. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know you lost your leg. Yeah, we know that literally if someone slams a door too hard, you have an absolute fucking freak out and we need to talk you down from the roof for 3 days. And also you breathed in a bunch of shit where one of your lungs just doesn't fucking work anymore. But anyway, here's a little shitty pension. Mental health? Nah, fuck off. You fucking chancer. Who do you think you are? Like, fucking, like, see if the veterans aren't even getting it, right? If they're not even getting it, then the homeless people walking about the streets, they've no fucking hope of getting it. You know, the veterans at least went out and sacrificed, literally sacrificed their fucking sanity for their country. And if they can't even get it, the homeless people aren't going to fucking get it. One element we haven't talked about is the $1 billion investment in mental health services, so we don't have people who are homeless in our subways, many of them in the throes of mental health episodes. And that's what I believe are some of the factors here, Hochul said. There are consequences for behaviour. I will look at it more closely to find out whether the state has a role, Hochul added. Whether the state has a role. Well, in a case where the state is actually the arbiter and monopolist of a large geographical area and the average man on the street has absolutely no fucking votes, shut up, has absolutely no say whatsoever in the way society is managed, and it's supposed to be the state's duty to keep people safe, that's why they take a huge amount of taxes from everybody's paycheck. I think stopping people from getting stabbed by crazy homeless people is the least you could do. I think it's the least you could do. If someone is in the street, right, and they're beyond reason, they're mentally ill, so you can't reason with them. It's not a case of send them to jail and rehabilitate them and everything like that. No, this person's mind is operating on a completely different plane. If someone is genuinely like a threat to the public and they don't need jail, they don't need rehabilitation, they need treatment, then Shutter Island the bastards, right? Just fucking do that. Right? And then if one day they get declared sane by doctors, whatever, release them back out into society. But you're not doing that. You're just letting them fucking run amok. That was deeply disturbing, and that causes a lot of fear for people. And actually, the mayor and I are working so hard to restore that sense of safety. We have cameras on the subway so that at least people can watch what happened to you after it happened. More police officers were assisting with overtime. We have been doing so much, and the numbers are improving. The number of crimes on subways is declining, and I don't want people to feel anxious again when something like that comes to light. It was deeply disturbing. The Manhattan DA's office said that it will be investigating the incident, but did not say if it will be filing charges against the unidentified man. Reverend Al Sharpton also condemned his death, calling it potential murder. The National Action Network demands... Wow, that's an unfortunate name. Demands the district attorney and police investigate this horrific incident as a potential case of manslaughter, if not murder. Reverend Al Sharpton said, 30 years ago, I fought the Bernard Goetz case, and we cannot end up back to a place where vigilantism is tolerable. well then don't create a society that makes it inevitable. It wasn't acceptable then, and it cannot be acceptable now. Other people on social media described it as a lynching. It was not a lynching. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It was not a lynching. Protests have since erupted around the subway station. And there he is there. Here, good boy. Right, and that's the end of the article. Okay, so here's the nuanced take, and this might piss a few people off, right? If there is someone walking around the subway threatening people, you don't know if he's got a weapon on him and all that type of stuff, and you think, okay, this is a situation where this person might hurt someone, take them down. Take them down, right? If you feel that your safety and the safety of those around you is at risk, you have a reasonable belief that the safety of everyone around you is at risk, then take the person down. However, this is a phrase that bouncers like to use whenever we are speaking with the police, using no more violence and force than was necessary for the situation. Right now, the problem is if you put someone in a chokehold, maximum 12, 13, 14 seconds before that person's out. Before that person's out cold. As soon as they're out cold, that's it. The threat is neutralized. You can then fold their arms behind their back, get them in a wee triangle or something like that. Knee to the back, or you could even do the standing armbar, knee on the back of the head, pulling their arm up. Like, that's them. The only way. Anytime they move, they're just going to cause a lot of pain for themselves, and you just have to give the arm a little tug and all that, right? And then that's it, right? And also because the knee is on the head and not the neck, especially, see if you put it on the ear right there, it's really sore for them. So I hear. If you put the knee on the head there and you've got the arm in the standing bar, that's it. That person can't move. You've neutralized the threat. Holding your grip on their throat, though, and keeping them in the hold for several minutes. Yeah. The guy fucked up. I'm sorry, fucked up. You don't keep choking someone for like several minutes. Right, you don't. Inevitably, that is going to result in death. Right, and that's basically, see if that happened here in Britain, that guy, you'd be arrested immediately, you'd be charged for murder, that's it, it's away. But we have some of the dumbest and weakest self-defense laws, like, in the whole fucking world. Right, ours are really fucking dumb. Like, if a guy pulls a knife out on you in Britain, and you pull a knife out back to defend yourself, even if it's in your own home, and you stab that guy, you're going to get just as much jail time as that other guy. Like, the self-defense laws we have here are atrociously fucking bad. However, now, that guy did fuck up. He should not have had him in a chokehold for several minutes. What's the golden rule again? 3 minutes without oxygen? 3 minutes without oxygen is the longest a human can survive. You're going to suffer a bit of fucking brain damage during those 3 minutes. I think after 30 seconds, that's when the brain damage starts. You will suffer a good bit of brain damage, but see if you've cut the oxygen off to someone for 3 minutes, they're dead. That's it. They're dead. So keeping it on there for several minutes, he should not have done that. Now, they're saying he's a Marine, so I know he's trained in combat. I don't think he's trained in restraint. I don't know. I'm not a Marine. I've never done training. I was in the Army Cadets. And before anybody comes out with that thank you for your service meme, the Army Cadets isn't like I was a cadet in the Army. The Army Cadets was a little boys club over here in Scotland, which is like the Boy Scouts, but it's Army themed. That's what I was in. So that's the full extent of my military training, apart from playing a lot of Call of Duty. Right. So I don't know if he was trained in it or anything like that, but you cannot keep a chokehold on someone for several minutes and expect them to live. Right? I'm sorry, right? Like, the guy absolutely 100% should not have done that. Should he have initially choked him out and taken him to the ground to stop him from hurting people? Yes, he absolutely should have done that. He was 100% in the right for doing that. Should he have kept fucking going until there was zero oxygen in the man's brain and his lungs and heart shut down? No, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. Maybe he had a concern of maybe the guy had a weapon on him and he's like, oh my god, if I let go of this hold, then he's going to reach into his pocket and fucking stab me or other people in the train. Maybe those were the things going through the guy's head. I don't know. Right, I've no idea. However, my stance at the moment until new information comes to light is he should not have held that hold for several minutes. As soon as the guy was unconscious, there was loads of other restraint techniques he could have used on him. But We'll sit back and watch this one. But one thing as well, a lynching. No, it's not because he was black. It's not because he was black, right? He was walking up and down the train, harassing people, threatening people, probably going to physically attack people. It wasn't because he was black. If he was a white guy, the exact same thing would have happened to him, right? So shut the fuck up with that stuff. But we will sit back and wait and see the results of this one.